Hey everyone, Ducknuck84 here, back with some more French tanks on World of Tanks. Now, I know it's been a while since I've done the last video in this series, but since then they've added a couple of new tanks, although most of them are the lower tier. But today we are going to look at the R35, which was a counterpart to the Hotchkiss H35. They both kind of went into design phase about the same time, although I think the Hotchkiss had its prototype finished first, but during trials it was found that the H35 on rough terrain had a tendency to veer to one side or the other when the person was driving it, and it's not really something you want in your infantry tank where, you know, your columns of infantry are somewhere around the tank and then your tank veers into your infantry column and basically runs over your own guys. So it was pawned off on the French cavalry, who needed a tank but weren't allowed to have a budget to design their own. But both tanks are really similar in design and equipment, so, you know, you have to kind of compare them, decide which one you want, if you want to keep one or the other. I keep both of them just because I like early French tanks, so that's why this one stays in my garage. But anyway, so starting off stock, the R35 is slightly cheaper. It is 3,850, credits or silver here, versus the Hotchkiss is 4,200. Both price-wise, they shouldn't be that hard to acquire, just because they're tier 2 and you get about that or more if you have a good game in your tier 1 tanks. However, the Hotchkiss has the Renault beat in hit points, as it has 160 starting hit points versus 144 for the Renault. Also, it beats it in the signal range, as it starts with a pretty good radio that gives it 300 meters of signal range versus us, where we have our signal flags just like the Renault FT, so we only have 90 starting out, which isn't that good. Speed-wise, Hotchkiss is also faster at 27 km versus 23 km top speed for the Renault. And we do have the Hotchkiss beat in reverse, as we can go 12 km in reverse versus the Hotchkiss, which can only go 11. So, running away, we are slightly faster. But we also don't have that great of an engine, only 74 horsepower versus the 75 horsepower engine in the Hotchkiss stock. And also because the Renault is a little bit heavier at 10.6, we have a slightly worse horsepower to weight ratio at 6.98 versus the 7.92 on the Hotchkiss. Traverse speed, also a little bit slower. We only go 30 degrees per second versus the 32 on the Hotchkiss. And our view range starting out is also, well, not completely terrible, not great compared to the Hotchkiss, as it's 280 versus the Hotchkiss is 300. And also, with the stock cannon, the Hotchkiss wins again, as it can fire slightly faster at 24 rounds per minute, where the Renault can only do 23.08. So, they're roughly comparable, but slight edge on the Hotchkiss for that. Reload is also slightly faster on the Hotchkiss, again, which is 2.5 seconds versus our 2.06, or 2.60, I mean. And the one thing we do have over the Hotchkiss, though, is that we are slightly more accurate with the stock cannon, as our accuracy is 0.52 meters versus 0.54 on the Hotchkiss. And the aim time is both the same at 2 seconds. So, when you get to the 37 SA38 with the Hotchkiss and the R35, they're pretty comparable. There's no real difference in any of this, the measurements. They both fire at the same rate, they both reload at the same rate, and they both have the same accuracy. So that's where you hit kind of the parity. at least in damage-wise. The Hotchkiss still is going to have the Renault beat in the engine and speed and all those categories, as well as view range. So let's just put that all there. So at the top, speed and top everything, you basically have the Renault, which has 155 hit points versus the Hotchkiss's 160 that it keeps. So you have 5 less HP, which if you get hit by an artillery isn't going to do, mean anything, 5 HP, but that could be, the difference between one autocannon shell killing you and you having 1% HP left and knocking out the guy you were firing at. But I've found that basically, in the long run, 5 HP difference really doesn't mean that much. Signal range, we are at basically 300, or that's a view range. I didn't put that one in, so we're at 290, and the Hotchkiss actually still has the better radio, which gets 360 at the top tier. Speed-wise and, back and forth stays the same, 23 versus the 27 and 12 versus the 11, so it's not any difference. I didn't put the right engine in either, and let's put the right tracks in. So at this point, we have 82 horsepower with the top engine, which is the same engine that we have with the Hotchkiss, although again, because we are slightly heavier, our horsepower to weight ratio suffers a little bit, so we only have 7.75 versus the Hotchkiss's 8.69. And traverse speed at this point is basically the same at 34, and view range is also going to be the same at 300, so we get parallel there. However, the one part that really does suffer is if you do like to run the 25mm cannon, I would definitely recommend running it on the Hotchkiss, as the Hotchkiss has a clear advantage running that, as the rate of fire for the Renault with this is only 26.09, whereas the Hotchkiss has 35.29, so it's way faster. And the reload time is also pretty fast for the Hotchkiss at 1.7 seconds versus 2.3 seconds on the Renault. Accuracy is both the same, so that's not a thing you have to worry about. And with the aim time, the Renault is again slightly slower at 1.9 versus 1.5 on the Hotchkiss. So if you do like I say, if you do like running the cannon, definitely go with the Hotchkiss over the Renault. However, if you like running the SA-38 like I do, I mean, you could go either or basically, because there are, even though it seems that the Renault has nothing going for it compared to the Hotchkiss, there are some benefits on the Hotchkiss. Let's put this here just for going over the stuff. So, as you remember, when we look at the Hotchkiss right here, the one problem the Hotchkiss has is it has all these little trap areas for shells to, basically penetrate your armor. And the Renault doesn't have that problem. Has a little bit of that thing here, but it's still pretty good. So, overall, you have some really nice sloping in the front, which should help with ricocheting shots, and you even have some nice sloping right here and here, so you don't have the little traps, like I said, that you have on the 35, the H35 here, where things can ricochet and then hit here and all over the place. But anyway, so the sloping is a lot better on the Renault, so you should expect to have more ricochets and on the Renault than you do on the H35. Both of them have the same armor value on the turret top front, so 40 and 40. Sides also 40 and 40. However, the Hotchkiss has a better rear armor at 40, whereas the Renault, because it has this hatch here, has worse armor, so at 32. So Hotchkiss has better all-around armor, whereas the back for a Renault is really its weak point, or one of its weak points. But the major one is the back, because as with all the tanks, basically you have the driver's hatch, which is a weak point. You have these little windows on the turret, which are weak points and are pretty open on the stock turret, and of course the back there, and definitely this door right here. So if you sneak up behind an R35, aim for this door, as you're more than likely going to get a penetrating shot with anything. Whereas from the front, you know, you still have to worry about tanks with actual cannons. They're pretty much going to penetrate your armor no matter what, but you have a better luck of getting ricochets with auto cannons than you do with the main cannons. But anyway, like I said, so usual weak spots, and when you get the upgraded turret, nothing much changes, although these are a little more protected, so a little harder to hit. But that is basically the main points of the R35. You have the same open tracks, so you have the same problems with getting tracked, although you usually don't take as much damage anymore with the getting tracked, so that's something you can play to your advantage. Engines is the same, locations about, so you don't got to worry about that. Or actually you do if you get hit right here. But if you're going to put equipment on it, it would pretty much be the same as what I would put on the Hotchkiss. You could go for the coated optics or the binoculars if you're running the 25 and running it as, trying to do the sniper. But again, you're only restricted to mid-range because of the weapon. But yeah, so gun laying device or a coated optics is always good. I wouldn't put a small liner on it just because pretty much any artillery is going to pretty much kill you in one shot anyway. But vents are always good, or you could also put the coil spring. If you're going again with the sniper, camo net is also something you could think of to put on. So that is basically it for the Renault R35. The playstyle is going to be pretty much similar to the FT or the D1 or the Hotchkiss. There's not really any difference other than that you have slightly better angling, but the trade-off is that you don't reload as fast and you're a little bit slower. But I mean, if you're comfortable playing with the H35, if you've played with it, or the Renault FT, then you should find the R35 is pretty much the same game, and shouldn't have any problems adjusting to it. Plus, you should be familiar with these weapons by now, because pretty much everything you're going to run on Tier 2 and Tier 1 is going to be those guys. So, without further ado, let's actually see if we can get into a match and see how we do. Oops. Or I can basically load shells for it first. Okay, so what do we got? Pretty much need to stay away from the 2-pounder and the AT. Them two lights and cruisers could cause some problems if we get hit, but everything else shouldn't give us too much problems. And we're going downhill. Basically, we want to get into those buildings and get some cover as fast as we can. Even going downhill, we're not very fast. Nor do we have the good traverse, because the traverse rate is about the same as the other tanks, or not traverse, but the gun depression is the same as the other tanks too, so you got to worry about that. Oh, nope, not going to be able to get him. Let's go over this way. Come out.
That one didn't go through.
And we got a bounce. we got over here? This is probably not good.
Enemy armor is hit. Track hit. Penetration.
And
They're knocked out.
they got our track, but we're still good right now. I see you there.
Penetration.
And you're dead.
Track repaired. Drive on. Critical hit. We didn't penetrate their armor.
Get out of the way. Come on.
We've lost the track. Enemy armor is damaged. Enemy armor
There we go.
is hit. Penetration.
Got him.
Knocked out. Let's go. Penetration.
See, the combat car's not a problem for us.
That one bounced. We're immobilized. We didn't penetrate their armor.
Come on. Let's get up and... Like I said, that's a problem there. Okay, we're going to have to use it.
Got him. One of our tracks is damaged.
Let's try not to, but...
We're immobilized.
Come on. Okay, they're going to try to get behind us.
Track hit. We didn't penetrate their armor. We've lost it.
And I'm
We're
dead.
dead for. Everyone get out.
But, as you can see, the R35 can take a beating, just like the H35. Good round. 20 shots, 18 penetrations. Damage is alright. Received 140, and 129 were non-penetrating. Of course, that was probably mostly from the combat car. Get Bruiser, Duelist, Fighter, and Fire for Effect, and we got the Cool Head, which is pretty easy to get when you got combat cars firing at you. Okay, let's make sure we're all set, and let's go out again. And we're at the bottom, so we got Panzer IIs. Let's try to stay away from the Panzer IV or the Valentine, because I don't think we can penetrate their armor. And it's going to take us forever to get up that hill, but that's where we're going to go.
Move out.
And we're slowly getting up to that 23. Very slowly. So is anyone else other than the legendary warrior there going hill? No, it looks like everyone else is going island and river. Well, they made it there. And if we can get up here, might get a shot. What we got to worry about is the... Missed. Oh, got a shot through him.
Enemy is hit.
But we got to worry about that artillery. Artillery is going to probably kill us.
can go through.
Yep,
Done for. Everyone get out.
the Valentine's what got us. Not too bad in terms of ranking. We're still at the bottom, but Tetrak can kill us. Pretty much everything is going to be able to penetrate our armor. But we should be able to do some damage to them too. Let's see. Definitely not going hill. But let's see where everyone else is going. 'Cause I'm thinking we might go this way. But we don't want to get caught out in the open.
Let's go.
But everyone's going that way, so we're going to go down, looks like the middle. So are they going up the hill, or are they going to go down the alley? Down the alley, it looks like. Oops. See him up there. Let us get out of the way, though. Oh, I see you there. Got shot. Nope, no shot. So they're going to line up on that side of the street. So let's see if we can flank them. No shots there. Oh, where am I getting shot from? Don't know where that came from. Probably you. Come on, you want to go through there. You know you do. Missed.
Penetration.
Yep, we're dead.
Enemies. Bail out. This vehicle has had it.
Yep. Like I said, pretty much anything with a cannon will penetrate your armor. The problem was is we need more people over here. Everyone went hill. And they're all getting killed on the hill. Yeah, we're probably going to lose this.
One of our tracks is damaged.
And he's dead in one hit.
Track hit.
Nope. Somehow he got a ricochet. But now he's dead. Yeah, we lost. Pretty much not how you want to play this map. You got one medium and 4 lights. Let's see, is he going to be able to save it? Nope. Not going to be able to get there in time.
Hydraulics are down. We have to hand crank the turret. The gunner is dead. We're trying to cut.
And everyone else staying there. So, yep, that's a loss. Unless is he going to try to shoot him? on, guys. Maximus 909. Nope, they got it. Because you waited too long. Okay, let's look at the report. Both shots penetrated, didn't do a lot of damage. 7 shots fired. Not good. But anyway, that is the R35. I mean, if you had to have a choice between, because you have limited space in your garage, and you had to choose between the R35 and the H35, I would still go with the H35, because just overall, stat-wise, it's slightly better. The R35 is more, again, if you are a fan of French tanks and the early French tanks, because really the only thing it has going for it is that it has slightly better sloped armor, so you are going to get more ricochets. That is really about it. Every other stat, except for going backwards, of course, is better on the Hotchkiss overall. So that will conclude our look at the R35. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and check out some of my other videos or some of my other tank videos, and I will see you next time. Until then,